interesting perspectives he's been sharing with us. In fact, I don't want to preempt the discussion. So first of all, where were you? And just a brief of what you saw and how that changed your opinion of how every discussion you've been hearing, how that influenced the way you see things.
All right. So myself and my friends, we visited a couple of communities. We went from Takwa to Aboso. You know the Aboso glass factory?
Yes.
Yeah, we went past Aboso glass factory.
Okay.
Then to, I think, Bompieso.
Okay.
Is it Amoanda?
Okay.
Huni Valley. Yeah, some communities
These are
along
areas in the western part of the country.
Yes, western part of the country.
Okay.
I think when you go when you get to Takwa, you turn left to Bogoso and then take right to these other communities I'm talking about.
Okay.
So our experiences were of different sites in different communities.
Okay.
And as this conversation is going to be more or less like a snapshot conversation, I'll keep it at that. But my first and foremost impression is that galamsey has come to stay. Unfortunately, it comes to stay. It is not a thing we can say. So I think Operation Galam Stop is a very difficult.
The fight against illegal mining.
Yes, like what I mean is that the whole agenda to say let us stop galamsey. If you do not understand the intricacies of galamsey end to end value chain analysis, you would then say let us stop galamsey. But if you understand the economics of galamsey and the issues around it, you realize that it is not about solving galamsey. So coming back from the western region, for me, it's not about stopping galamsey. It's about finding sustainable solutions to galamsey. Because, and I'm going to give you one example. So I had very good conversation with people on the grounds, i.e. the grassroots, the foot soldiers of galamsey. And this happened at a community mine. You know, the government said they were going to solve the problem of galamsey using the community mining project. So I had the advantage of visiting one of the community mining sites. And I didn't meet the investor. And definitely if you meet the investor, that's a high level. So you are going to get information at a high level. It wouldn't be very granular for this kind of conclusions that I needed to arrive at. So I went to speak to people who carry the gold-bearing rocks from the bottom of the pit. And this pit we are talking about is about, if I'm not mistaken, about 300 feet deep, if not meters. I think the unit is beating me a little bit, but it's very deep, basically. And they go deep down there. There is no sunlight, so they go with torch, just like we remember our hunters with the torchlight in front of on their foreheads. So they go with that, and then they do the blasting. After the blasting, they carry it and then bring it to the surface. So these are like the laborers in the value chain at the source, upstream. So they are the laborers, and the gentleman tells me he's able to make 500 cedis a day. 500 cedis a day. Okay. Now he works 6 days a week.
500 Ghana cedis a day.
A day. And he works 6 days a week. If you do that basic multiplication, that is like 3,000 Ghana cedis a week. Now, give and take, even if he's being, call it, overly confident or exaggerating his earnings, you can be confident he will earn no less than 400 cedis a day. So give and take 3,000, 2,500, 3,000, 2,000, anything in that region a week. Multiply by 4, and that is like 8,000 to 12,000 we are looking at. Right. Now, this is somebody who didn't do secondary school. He spoke some good English, so let me give him JHS. Now, are you able to take, or which kind of company, factory, manufacturing, production, okay, industrialization drive, are you taking to these communities in these villages that can pay a GHS leaver
that amount of
8,000 cedis a month? These are the realities I was looking at. And these are the aspects of galamsey economics I was looking at. And this is what gave me the impression that, look, to say you are going to stop galamsey as we know it is nearly impossible. Because the amount of money these young ones are making is so much that creating jobs, okay, creating jobs as we know, as our politicians proffer as a solution, is obsolete. It's gone. That period is gone. We are behind time. They've gone ahead of us. The socioeconomic problem of youth unemployment, which we toyed and played with, is boomeranging. And now we are in a state where even if you give the jobs, they are no longer interested because the dividends are not comparable to what they will get if they get into the mine. You understand? So with that understanding, my impression leaving the place is for us not to be thinking of stopping galamsey. No, it's about finding sustainability. Let's find ways and means of having superior understanding of the value chain, galamsey value chain. Get to understand the upstream side of things, get to understand the midstream side of things, onto the sales point of things. And say again.
The way you said it, galamsey, you are talking about upstream, midstream.
So I'm just using terminologies that are familiar to people in terms of like oil industry.
So it's not simply a matter of somebody going to dig up some rocks, wash it, and then they have gold.
So it goes through good processing, so good processes and stages. So for example, with the shaft I was talking about, there is an investor who may own that shaft given by government, granted by government. Okay. These people have concessions from the community. They enter the pit as well. They do their own dynamite blasting. They get access to the gold-bearing rocks. They carve it to the surface. That is second. That is like a stage of the whole thing. Okay. Somebody financing the blasting and the extraction. Okay. To the surface. I mean the gold ore. The rocks. Then there is another phase where people now take that ore or the stones to a changfang, as we know it. And the changfang is more like a mill, like your nika, like your goji at home that grinds the corn for us. And this changfang cracks the stones into powder, i.e., sand granules or sand grains, and then water comes in there. That is one side of it. When they are done, the residue of the changfang, of the changfang activity, okay, if you go into the neighborhood or the area, they call it notibinin, okay, that is the waste of the changfang extraction process. That particular waste is also bought by another group of companies, okay, and they take it as a next phase of extraction.
Really?
Yes, they take it as the next phase of extraction, and it's because the
from
changfang,
this small scale mining.
Yes, and it's because the changfang is not very efficient. Okay, from call it anecdotal conversations I had with them, changfang is able to extract about 30% of the gold in the rock, gold-bearing rocks. Just 30%. So for all the distraction
for all
we
the
are
work
seeing,
and everything,
for
you're
all
getting 30%.
Just about 30%. For all the distraction we are seeing, it's about 30% of extraction. Now, the residual sand that is left behind, that residual sand is bought by companies for public whatever. I already mentioned any company's name. Is bought by companies who have superior technologies to be able to extract these residual gold in the sand.
So up to 70%. That
so this other device or equipment are able to do up to like 80-90%. So you can be sure that a good chunk of it is taken out. Okay, now with the government's initiative, the idea is to give the pit to an investor who uses better, superior, and more environmentally sustainable, relatively environmentally sustainable equipment called the commodity monitor. So the commodity monitor does the same job as a changfang. It does it at a better rate, or yes,
it's much more efficient.
Yes, and it is. I think when I studied the engineering of it, there is a motto. There's a centrifuge. So there's a centrifugal force that does the separation of the gold based on density. Okay. So they're using the density principle. So you see a lot of extraction happens out of that. Okay. So that, for example, is another phase. Then it goes on and on and on to where we get to the extraction side of the conversation, okay, where you get them using various chemicals that are giving so many dangerous fumes, and they don't know. Speak to them, and they tell you, into urea, now the acid blue negusu, urea, now what the acid red, na kahon, and now ube say be green, be. They don't even know what they are talking about. They don't know. And to be honest with you, the everything I saw is more like gases being released in the process, and they are not wearing nose masks. They are not wearing any protective equipment. Equipment. So inhalation is 100% into their lungs and all. Now you look at, take mercury, which is the commonest chemical we know in this environment. Take mercury. Just take your phone, Google, okay, the is it side effects or impact of mercury contamination or mercury pollution in the blood, and just look at the plethora of diseases and conditions that come with mercury inhalation.
There's a lot to talk about, David. My time is up.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Already.
Wow.
So when you see Bajumba, you should know that your time is up.
That's right.
So we'll bring this back Friday.
Absolutely.
And continue this conversation and try to see what can be done alternatively to improve the situation. Because for a lot of us, the major concern is the damage that's done to the environment. How do we reverse this damage to our water bodies? How do we ensure it does not continue? How do we ensure the practices are sustainable? David will join me on Friday. We'll continue this conversation. David, thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
David Zekpah is with the 1956.